What's going on, guys? It's Tom, and I'm back with another video, and it's been days. Yeah, I'm just running out of ideas, guys. Sorry. And then when I crank stuff out, nobody's watching it because nobody wants information anymore. You guys are all like, you just want to be entertained. So that's why guys come here. They're still making mistakes because they're not bothering to watch any of the information videos that myself and other vloggers, even right in the Philippines, the information we put out, nobody's watching. They just whatever. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this. Recently, I was watching. There's a couple guys here that I do watch, and recently, one of them put a story out about this young American that came here. God, I think it must have been about a year and a half ago. I want to say. And I mean, this guy's like, I don't even know if he's 30. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to tell sometimes, because um, I don't know. There's a, but anyway, he seemed like maybe he's 30. I don't know. He might be in his 20s. Seriously, like I really don't know. Like, I guess if I had to estimate, I'd say 25 to 30 years old. Okay, so that's very young for coming here. And boy, I tell you, there was. Let's just talk about the very first mistake that he made, because right now he's in a situation where you know I think he's overstaying and everything. He's been overstaying for about a year now because he really doesn't have enough money. And there's other reasons for that, but the one main mistake that he made, I wanted to talk about, and I'll talk about a few of the others too, just so maybe some of you guys that are coming here or planning on coming here might listen to this and maybe not have the same thing happen to you, right? So, some of the things that he did, right, like a couple of the things that happened to him was that, okay, number one, before he came here from the US, and he was planning on coming here for 6 months. Okay, so this wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm going to live here for the rest of my life, but he wanted to try it out. He wanted, like, hey, I got, he thought he had enough money, to live for like at least 6 months, right? And he also thought that he was going to be able to get up a online business, so he'd have some income coming in addition to the money that he had in the bank that he was going to, live off of, right? Okay, so where do I begin? So the first thing was, okay, yeah, it would have been a good idea, obviously, especially if you're a young guy like that. You have no pension, you're not older like me. You don't have a social security, you don't have a pension or anything, 401k or whatever. And he knows this now, but I mean, this is something you might want to learn before you even come here, is have some kind of online, if you're going to do some kind of online business like YouTube or whatever, right? Or just, there's a lot of stuff you can do online nowadays, businesses remotely, right? You got to do that up first before you leave the US. You have to set up some kind of an online business or job before you come here. You have to have some income coming in. If you're in, I mean, this guy, like I said, very young, has to have income. No pensions to live on. Okay, so you have to make money. Unless you got like a couple $1 million in the bank, you know what I mean? And even that's not going to last forever. But I mean, it certainly could last quite a long time here. And if you invested it properly, it could last you the rest of your life. But how many people know how to do that? But anyway, so so that was another mistake. He didn't have his online. He didn't have any business set up already. He thought, oh, I'll come to the Philippines and then I'll do that. I'll set something up. I'll be, he probably thought within a month or two I'll have some income coming in, or well, that didn't happen, right? And then another smaller mistake, although it is a big mistake, but I'm getting to the biggest mistake. But the second biggest mistake was that He did not tell his bank that he was coming to the Philippines, you know, just to visit. It doesn't matter. Like whether you're coming here for a month to visit, right? Or whether you're coming here for 6 months, like this gentleman planned on doing. You've got to tell your bank, especially if you're going to use their debit card to try and get money out of the ATMs here in the Philippines. You know, you're going to be living off that your checking account or your savings account or right, whatever. Uh, you got to tell them, you know, because otherwise they start seeing activity like, you know, you're using your ATM in the Philippines, and you didn't tell them that you were coming here. They're going to suspect fraud or somebody stole your card or, you know, something's going on, and they're going to freeze your account. And that's exactly what happened to this young man. They froze his account. You know, like, I mean, within 6 months of him being here. Okay. So now he's like, and I think he has a small income. Like he found something to do, but it really said it wasn't enough to live on. You know what I mean? I mean, it helped, you know, maybe pay his rent or something. But I mean, you know, I think at the time too, probably I want to say at that point, I think he had a girlfriend here, and I believe they were living together. So I don't know if she was contributing at all, you know, to their living, but it sounds like maybe she was because I mean, it sounds like he didn't really have hardly enough money. I don't even know how he'd be able to live for a year here, you know what I mean? Like, which is apparently what happened. Um, but anyway, that's sort of beside the point. But okay, so so let's go through this now, right? Let's review. Didn't have any kind of online business set up. No revenue source set up before he came here. Number two, did not tell his bank that he's coming to the, you know, Philippines or whatever country, you know, anywhere outside the United States. If you're going to go anywhere outside the United States, you got to tell your U.S. banks, hey man, I'm going to be here in this country for like a month or 6 months or 3 months or whatever. Okay, so that they know when they see activity in those ATMs in those other countries of you getting money that it's you, you know. So he didn't do that. It was kind of messy too. Like I guess they already froze his account. Plus, he didn't have a U.S. address that he would, you know, that he could use. Like in other words, they still had his address of where he was living previously, and then he had moved out. It's not like he was living. Apparently he wasn't living at home or anything. So guess what? Now somebody else is probably living there. You know, he was renting, I'm assuming, right? And he didn't update his address and especially keep a U.S. address, another U.S. address, like a family member, maybe that he could have used their address, or one of those traveling mailbox companies or whatever, you know. So he didn't do that. So now it's like, okay, he didn't tell him he's coming over here. Plus, his address is not good anymore. Because they were going to send him a check for the money that he had in his account because they already closed it. And then according to him, they sent the check to his previous address. So I don't even know if he was able to get it. Maybe eventually he'll be able to get it when he goes back to the U.S., which hopefully will be soon because the guy's out of money at this point, you know. He's getting help now from a vlogger here, you know, and the viewers of the vlogger are, I think, helping, you know, sending money to do this and to do that. But ultimately, he's going to need a plane ticket to go back to the U.S. I mean, that's going to be his end result, you know. But he's still here. You know, they're still trying to go through the Bureau of Immigration. He's probably going to have to pay fines for the overstay for all that time, you know, back fees and all that. All right, so now we're going to get to the number one mistake that he made, right? So when I watched the video, the first video, my first question, because they had not mentioned it, I said, hey, how much did this guy have in the bank? You know, he said they froze his bank account and all that. Okay, which is terrible when you're here, you know, when you're overseas and that's all your money. But like, he never said how much money he had in the bank. Well, it turns out, now this is keep in mind, this is for 6 months now. In other words, he thought that this amount of money that he had was going to allow him to live for 6 months. Now, I know that he probably thought that, oh, I'll be getting some income. By then I'll be making, whatever, 500 a month, on some online business. Well, that didn't happen. But guess what? The amount of money that he had in the bank was only $3,500. Okay. So that's slightly less than like $600 a month, basically, for 6 months. Okay. And my first thought is, I wonder what videos he was watching. He obviously wasn't watching any of my videos, and I know that I haven't been doing, but this is going back a year and a half, man. At that point, I was cranking out videos, and I do mostly information videos of exactly that type. You know what I mean? How much money to bring to the Philippines, or, stuff like that, right? I don't know who he was watching, but you and me both know, you guys out there and myself both know that there's guys out there doing these videos with, oh yeah, you can live here or my expenses are only 600 a month and all that, and whatever, right? So I don't know if he was watching one of those guys or not, but man, I'll tell you, that is a huge mistake. He should have had at least $10,000 in the bank, okay, for 6 months. Because, you're not just paying rent and food and this and that, transportation, but you're paying immigration fees every 2 months. You got to extend your visas and all that. Plus, what if you get hurt? What if you got to go to the hospital? Okay? This guy should have had at least 10 grand in the bank, for 6 months. You don't want to just have exactly what you think you're going to need. That's ridiculous, Come up with that number, what you think you're going to need, and then add to it. Because stuff's going to happen here, man. You know what I mean? And he was living in a city like Cebu City, so. But, yeah, I just hope, and hopefully, there's not too many more guys like that'll happen to. Guys out there in the U.S. or other Western countries that are going to thinking about coming here. And, I'm sorry, guys. I know sometimes some of my videos, they're not telling you what you want to hear, because you want to hear that you can live here for so cheap and for 500 a month and all that crap. That's what some of you guys apparently want to hear that, but you're not going to hear it from me, because I don't want to be responsible. And you're not responsible. These vloggers all do these disclaimers, and, they don't really, some of them I think just don't give a crap, about how many guys watch their videos and then wind up coming here and winding up homeless, or having to somehow scrape up money from some nice vloggers, viewers to go back home, right? Some of these guys that do these low budget videos, I don't think they give a crap. I think they just want the views, because I haven't been getting very many views lately, you know what I mean? Because people want drama, they want to hear about your nightmare life, how you got screwed, financially, trying to build a house, for example, or whatever, right? They want to hear all that shit, but they don't want to hear just straight up factual information about, what you should do before you come here to prepare, So I get it. That's why I'm probably phasing out on this channel. I got some other ideas, and it won't involve, travel type channel or even this type of information type channel, But anyway, so I hope this guy gets the money that he needs to get a plane ticket to get back to the U.S. and he kind of sounded like he was burning his bridges a little bit. I don't know if it was him or what, but I mean, there was not a good family connection. Let's put it that way. And that's not a good idea. You should always have at least one relative, friend, or whatever that you are still friends with and, can help you if you need it, I don't mean monetarily, but there's other ways people can help, Like the embassy couldn't help this guy because they couldn't get a hold of his, parents or somebody to vouch for this guy. You know what I mean? Because they couldn't get a hold of anybody that would talk to them. You know what I mean? So the embassy can't help you if you don't, if they think that, you know, you have no one in the U.S. that's going to vouch for you. They're not going to give you money to go back to the U.S. You know, if you're just, you know, because for all they know, you could be homeless in the U.S. and they're not going to help you do that. You know, just so you guys know, you know, the embassy can help in certain ways, but you know, they're not like the end all. You know, the end all. You know, savior. Okay. So just keep that in mind also. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think now ultimately he's gonna have to sort of get back with at least, you know, one of his family members or whatever, you know, till he gets back on his feet in the U.S. You know, but I hope all goes well for him. You know, uh, and that's it, dudes, dudettes. All right, I'll see you later, man. Have a good day.